Hello, this is MJ. I've been way too busy working on other stuff that I have not gotten to my my Netflix watching of and commenting on the CW shows. And the reason I bring that up right now is because I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about, let me see, is this the right account or not? No, not the right account. Ooh, Phantom of the Opera's on Netflix. I will have to add that to the queue. Anyway, I've not had the opportunity to talk about, the other CW show that I am watching, which is Legends of Tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up, and I'm going to, just kind of give a brief summary, or not, no, I'm sorry. I'm not a summary guy. I'm going to give a brief, I'm going to briefly relay my thoughts and impressions of the show so far. So, season 4? Okay, season 4 of Legends of Tomorrow opens up with meta-textual references to the fact that it's a TV show. Ray Palmer gets to deliver a line of something like, "Oh, dealing with magical threats will make our ratings go up." And everybody looks over at him and he's like, "Yeah, the Time Bureau, they rate all their operatives, and our ratings can increase by dealing with these magical threats that nobody else might be able to, blah, blah, blah." Which, by the way, I really like Ray Palmer. Just in general, I like how they are using all the different scenarios everybody gets into over the course of Legends to really give them interesting arcs, especially because Mick Rory is a hero now, even though he used to be a villain and whatnot. But the Legends of Tomorrow lets its characters all be complicated, and it lets them all the whole show deals in shades of gray, basically. But ultimately, the legends are noble and heroic, and I rushed through watching season 3, or the second half of season 3, because I had dropped it last year for I don't know why. But anyway, I rushed through watching that so I could get to the Elseworlds thing, which I will be talking about soon, because I've watched 2/3 of the Elseworlds special. But it was really funny. I totally got trolled by the show because their 8th or 9th episode, whatever it was, they had the custodians of the timeline or continuity or whatever they called it, which is this crazy alternate history that gets set forth because of people in the show messing with the timeline and whatnot. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, the point is that they even got meta there, and I really don't like meta humor. Maybe I do, I don't know. It's funny, I watched this video a while back on how Spider-Verse, I think it was from Fandom or formerly Screen Junkies or whatever they're called now, but like the Fandom entertainment group that has the movie fights and the honest trailers and whatnot. Anyway, one of their people did a special thing. I think it's a newer guy, or he's been behind the scenes for the most part until recently. Anyway, I don't watch all their stuff religiously, so I really don't know. But anyway, this guy was talking about how the guys who got fired from Solo, who did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, who Phil and Lord and Miller, 21 Jump Street, Spider-Verse, all that stuff. They do kind of postmodern storytelling where they know that they know that it's a story and that it's fiction and that it's all fake. And they work within that, like with the Lego movie, which I've never seen anyway. And Spider-Verse, like, to let you know, they kind of wink and nod at you, like, yeah, this story's fake, it's all BS, it's all fantasy, and we know that you know that, so we know we really can't surprise you because you're probably genre savvy, so we're going to acknowledge the tropes, and we're going to, I don't know, kind of wink at, we're kind of going to break the fourth wall, but not really, and we're going to do it in a way where, like, we take these things that we all enjoy and, like, redefine them, recontextualize them, and clarify, like, why you should love them, basically, or, why they're so great. And, it's worked on me so far because I really do like, everything that I've seen of them. I haven't seen all their work, but everything I've seen from Lord and Miller I really enjoy. And I feel like Legends of Tomorrow kind of does a similar thing, or maybe they started doing that thing in season 4, and maybe, I don't know, by the end of season 3. Anyway, so, getting on from there. So the first episode was called The Virgin Gary. It's where they go to Woodstock and they meet a unicorn that's, they're subverting things because the unicorn's a killer. That was okay. It didn't really do much for me. Gary's nipple getting eaten off was pretty funny, pretty gross. drawing Constantine into the story, into the team aboard the Wave Rider, so that he can join the story and shine a different light on things and give different people an opportunity to have different arcs and to be transformed and be looked into more, was interesting to me. In the next episode of Witch Hunt, I really liked that they went with a fairy godmother being evil, and that they're sending all these magical creatures back to hell. And I don't know, there's interesting foreshadowing in there, because I think the fairy godmother, she knows who John Constantine is, and she says that I would never trade places with you, because what you have coming for you is worse than hell, which, what's worse than hell? But I think they call that jobbing, where something is really severe, like a person's really strong, and then somebody comes into a show or story and gets curb stomped by them, or strike that, reverse it. They are able to trounce this thing, and it sets them up as being even scarier and an even bigger threat. And I kind of feel like that's what they did, but it's clever and it all works together. But I know that was fun. And there was an interesting thing with Zari, where she is dealing with this Christian woman, and she's a Muslim. And I don't mean that like, oh, she's this other, but she's a Muslim woman, a woman of the Muslim faith, who also happens to be a person of color. And sorry, I really detest identity politics, because I feel like it breeds evil. And that Andy Ngo, gay Vietnamese child of immigrants, just got attacked recently by Antifa in Oregon, I think it was. And that's because of identity politics. He wasn't, he was the right color and the right sexual orientation, but he was on the wrong side of politics, so therefore they attacked him. Anyway, they kind of make references with Zari that, like, in the future, America becomes this awful place. I guess Trump stays in office. Anyway, and it becomes, like, super racist, and because her mom is Muslim at some point, and her family's Muslim at some point, they end up getting attacked. She visits her mom, who's, wearing a hijab and everything, so she's visibly Muslim. Other than being, brown, she's, it's obvious that she's religious, and she is feared for that and oppressed because of that. And Zari is very resentful of that, and I can't remember all the roots of her story, other than they're bringing that back into focus, that in the future, I thought her people were, like, being oppressed back when she was introduced, I think in season 3, because, like, they had powers or something, but apparently it was because they're Muslim, which wasn't clear to me from the beginning. But that was pretty interesting to me, and I like how she's critical of the whole puritanical town of, Salem, Oregon, or whatever it was. And was it Oregon or Massachusetts? I think there's Salems all over the country, so I don't know. Anyway, and I think, like, there's one person who is, she makes a reference to, like, man, like, do none of you people understand what Jesus was about or what the Bible's really about? Because they're all hateful and scared, and they're choosing to not act out of mercy and love. And it's interesting to me, I think she's a lesbian, or I think she's going to end up being a lesbian. So she's a Muslim lesbian, possibly an atheist, but she, like, kind of holds on to the traditions because they help her feel anchored and moored and at home. So, like, at one point in the series, she's fasting, I think, for Ramadan. Can't remember 100%. And, like, Mick doesn't understand either, because he's just insensitive or because he's kind of an idiot. Anyway, I'm not excusing. I think it's a jerk move, but he's a criminal and he's a jerk. So, like, we know that, is going to come from him, but he's super insensitive about her, being, fasting when she is, and he's, like, taunting her and asking her if she wants food and, pork, and he asks if she's Jewish, and she's like, oh, I can't believe that you would ask me if I'm Jewish. And it's like, just say you're Muslim and just get over it, man. Anyway, but I like that she's, like, despite the fact that she's these things and she's possibly, like, an atheist and, might be hateful towards the idea of a divine, she like, kind of speaks up the positive virtues and appeals to the better angels of the people's nature, and says, like, be godly. Like, if you're gonna follow this book and follow this, God or prophet of yours, like, honor the way he chose to live and the way he instructed you guys by being good people. And I thought that was really cool. Let's see, there was the 70s London thing. Ray kind of decides to be a bad boy, and he ends up bringing the shapeshifter on. That was episode 3. That was fine. I thought it was funny that they were challenging his, they were, like, challenging him being a Boy Scout, even though, like, he had freed Nora Dark and stuff at the end of season 3. But possibly because he, is infatuated with her, which we know he is, because he was kissing the tree in episode 1 when he was hallucinating. Let's see. The next episode 4, Harry's and Campfire Story. Oh, I loved the, my girls are scouts, or Girl Scouts, and it was really awesome because they were actually going away to day camp when I was watching this episode. And it was really fun because it captured first of all, it captured like the feel of a Jason movie, which was a lot of fun. But it also showed like, I liked how it showed the variation in women. So like, obviously, Sarah and, oh man, what's her girlfriend's name? Vivian V something? I can't remember. The Time Bureau director, current one, Sharp. Whoever Sharp. Anyway, they're both lesbians or bi or whatever. But Sarah is this, like hardened assassin, and they have such different affects and such different personalities, and it's nice to see that representation. If we're gonna have, I feel like there are like a disproportionate amount of gay, lesbian, or bi characters among the CW shows. Like there's a couple on each show, and just by population breakdown, that seems fantastical. But this is a world of fantastical things, so I'll roll with it. But if we're gonna do that, I want to see like a variation and diversity among those people, and we got to see that highlighted between Sarah and Sharp, whatever her name is, and it was just really neat. And it was neat to see how different they are, and how Sharp like didn't have a childhood, or she has these manufactured memories, and she's this stick in the mud, very like harsh personality. And despite everything that Sarah's been through, she can still have fun, and she can still roll with things and enjoy life, and like make the best out of situations way more easily than Sharp can. And I love that contrast, and I liked seeing that between the two of them. Episode 5, Tagumo Attacks. I really love that. I'm not a Godzilla fan or a kaiju fan, really. I do love tokusatsu, though, including Super Sentai, which is the original thing that Power Rangers was adapted from, which features giant robots fighting giant monsters in miniature cities. But obviously it's meant to look like it's gigantic. But I think that's really fun. Everything that they did, and that the fact that they were working on creativity, and that the writer, director, whatever, the guy who was making Tagumo was like working through the trauma of the nuclear bomb, the Hiroshima and Nagasaki attacks, by making this dark creature. And like once he was able to do that, he was able to release it from his psyche. And it was cool because they're talking about like the heart of an artist, sort of, and like how working through those negative things through your art can be cathartic and healing. And some of these things that are talked about are trite, but the way they're dealt with, it humanizes the characters, and it humanizes their struggles. And I feel like for the viewer, it's something you can latch onto and identify with, and it's nice to go through those experiences with these characters. There was the next episode with Hemingway and Nate and his dad, Nate and Hank. I don't really have anything to say about this one. Episode 7, Hell No Dolly. First of all, I love all the punny titles. There's Hello Dolly with Barbra Streisand, which is a great movie. You should check it out if you haven't seen it, and you want to be entertained. If you want to be entertained, you should see it. If you don't, then don't. But anyway, there's a murderous doll like Chucky, and then it deepens the plot. We learn more what Constantine's running from and what's going on. So that was a lot of fun. And the murderous doll was creepy, and it was fun. It's funny that Sharp is all excited about serial killers, and she like is desperate to catch this guy and stuff, and like that, like doing serious business is the thing that animates her, and it's great to see that. And I'm glad that she's not changing too much, but she's just becoming a little more rounded out, and we get to see a little bit more of her. Because I want all the cast members to stick around and have a little arc, and that's part of hers, and it's fun to see. Episode 8, Legends of Meow Meow. Basically, I can't remember. Oh, Charlie and Constantine mess with the timeline, and they basically do the Groundhog's Day thing where they go through and they try shifting things over and over and over again, and there's a butterfly effect that keeps negatively impacting everything that's going on. And this is actually, there was the custodians of chronology or whatever, and like they blew off a call from Oliver and from from Barry for help, and they're like, oh, it's probably just the annual crossover. So like, again, that metatextual humor, and I appreciated it because of how tongue-in-cheek Legends of Tomorrow allows itself to be, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I mean, the show's entertaining. and that episode specifically, it was like they were sampling all different types of old TV genre, schlock like A-Team, Charlie's Angels, other stuff I can't call to mind right now because those two were the most impactful. But that was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed seeing how that all played out. The only thing I don't really get is I don't really feel like Amaya was the Zambezi vixen lady, right? I don't really see that she was the heart of the team or the moral compass of the team. I know she was kind of like a Girl Scout because she was with that classic, Justice League of America or whatever from the 40s or 50s. And, her intentions were, she's like Captain America, basically, right? For the DC, or for this team specifically. But I don't remember her, and maybe it's because I watched season 3 kind of split up over time. I don't really see her as being this, person who's the moral compass to the team. But it's interesting how Charlie is kind of the moral compass, and she, or it, whatever, because, genderless, I would assume, or gender fluid, changeling or shapeshifter, brings that extra dimension to them, that brings that nuance to them, like, hey, just because these are magical creatures doesn't mean they should all be banished to hell. How is that moral? How is that just? How is that right? And we got to see that. Oh, gosh, the Time Bureau is doing nasty stuff where they're starting to experiment with all the magical creatures they have captured, and they want to use them as weapons, of course, because the government is evil, because they have the monopoly on violence, and Nate's dad is part of that. That's not good. And then there's that food delivery lady who Gary's kind of in love with, and she's in love with the Hawaiian monster guy, and she becomes part of the show. She's really annoying. I do not like her character. I like kind of what they're doing with her, but she's like a I like diversity in comics, or your boy Zach, Comics Matter. I disagree with some of his being a jerk, but for the most part, I feel like he's pretty even-keeled, and you can come against me and judge me for that if you want to, but I enjoy his commentary. I feel like it's insightful. Again, I feel like the ad hominem attacks are totally unnecessary, and I don't like that stuff. I think, will find that I do not do that in my content, or I try very hard to avoid it. But I'm going to quote him and say, she's an LOL so random, I guess, kind of SJW character, and it's really irritating. It's like dumb millennial humor, I guess. I'm a millennial, and I think it's dumb, and I don't like it. But what are you going to do? I don't mind the actress overall, but just the way they use her, I feel is silly, and it's not enjoyable to me. So anyway, that's all I have to say about Legends. I'll be coming back with a Elseworlds review, basically, as I finish watching that. I have one more to do, and then I'll be through. So anyway, catch you next time, and I don't know, comment or tell me I'm wrong about something. MJMunoz.com is home for all my work, podcasts and reviews of anime, tokusatsu, Star Wars, and more, plus my original writings. If you didn't enjoy this, critique me. If you did, leave me a comment. If you really like this, consider tipping me at coffee.com/MJMunoz. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until next time, be well.